Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. It's time for another problem, this time Gareth Southgate. Can you believe it? I've got a problem with Gareth Southgate. What I'm really going to try and do here is try and kind of create a middle line to a point. I've listened to a lot of different opinions on Gareth Southgate. I will reveal my feelings on him and almost kind of analysis of my feelings of him. Because the bottom line is that I love Gareth Southgate. And I'm very loyal towards him. But at the same time, you have to look at the performances recently. And there's a problem there. Right, first and foremost, it's been an absolute disaster of a Nations League campaign. But let's pick the bones of this, right? And let's do it with some thought. And do it with some thought of where we're going as a nation, as a footballing team, and also where we've been as well. I think that's what I want to dive into. And I think I have just thoughts, a lot of questions, and I want to dive into the fact that this feels like this could be the beginning of the end for Gareth Southgate as the England manager. Twitter was chaos last night, right? And what is really great, and I will have a look at it actually, I'm going to have a look at some of your tweets and kind of talk about them, because I think there's two very clear angles here, right? The first angle is this is the second best manager we've ever had in terms of progression in tournaments. This is a guy that has brought together a nation on two separate occasions. This is a guy who has brought together a crop of players and given them the opportunity and done well in tournaments. Then you have the side where the performances haven't been extravagant. The entertainment hasn't been outrageous. And we lost a couple of games recently, right? 4-0. And there's this general idea that Southgate will never be good enough. And like, that's fine. And also the framing of, I saw one tweet, and I won't shout out the guy's name because I don't want him getting any kind of hate or anything. But someone saying that we got kind of lucky. He cost us a semi-final and he cost us the final. It's just so short-sighted. That's the one thing I will snap a little bit. Please don't be short-sighted with what someone's done. Because here's the top line for me, right? The top line for me is that, yes, this is an incredible crop of talent. Yes, we've got probably better depth than we've ever had. And yes, the performances, certainly in this Nations League, have been pretty dour. And yes, Southgate is a defensive manager. But for me, Southgate has credit in the bank. And people go, oh no, you need to make the change now. That is an overreaction for me. It really, really is. Like, he has earned the right to fall on his sword. He really has. And people will suggest that you want to be ruthless. And this is the tweet that I actually put out yesterday, was that, and I don't know if this is a thought, and it's another one for YouTube, because I think it's interesting to hear what you guys feel about this, because, and I said there will be exceptions, but just a thought, it feels like lower league fans, which I'm a Championship fan, but we've been in League One, accept defeats with a less aggressive reaction than fans of the top sides who constantly expect the best. I'm sure there are exceptions. Both perceptions probably have strengths and weaknesses, I guess, depending on your perception. So when I'm talking about that, what I'm saying from my point of view, and I think I generally believe my point of view fits better for England. And here's the reason why. And again, this is within the criteria that suits me. I have a feeling that this is international football, and therefore, broadly speaking, and especially for a powerhouse like England in terms of football, we should have an English manager. People go, oh, it's a bit Brexit, all that stuff. Like, fine. But my point is that how can you look to develop and have better coaches if you don't give English coaches the opportunity to do so? Do you know what I mean? So when people are talking about Arsene Wenger, that would be lovely. Like Pochettino, these sort of big names, like, fine. But when you're comparing Southgate to Hansi Flick and Luis Enrique, that's a Spanish manager who's had a great career as a Spanish manager. Hansi Flick is a great German manager managing Germany. We don't have many options. And you can talk about Potter, and I like Potter, but Potter won't want to do that job just yet, right? And so if that's the case, you then need to go, just step back and think, okay, where are we at right now? It would be so stupid to sack him right now, and it won't happen. and nor should it happen. Should he take responsibility for what is becoming quite a very defensive style, which I think, the way I looked at it is like, you need to be moving forwards. We can only move forwards. I've always said that. And what needs to happen here with Southgate is that the style of play needs to improve, because the players are not only good, they are not as young as they used to be. They are starting to have that experience. And so you expect better. An interesting stat, I think Southgate used it after the Hungary game, was that, oh, look, we're not scoring enough goals. As you said, last year, it was only the Netherlands that scored more goals than England last year. That's true. I would also suggest that part of that is the fact that, you're playing lesser sides, and so it's a strange way of kind of computing it, and I don't think you can totally go down that road. Look, there's a problem that the goals haven't been flowing. Definitely. That needs to change. That needs to improve. And I think this team needs to be able to play with a back four, because you need to be able to break teams down a bit better. And at this moment in time, it's not good enough. I'm totally on board with this. And you guys might be going, well, make your mind up, but you've got a flip-flop in here. Like, it can be both. The performances can be crap, and the manager can still deserve to stay in his job. Like, it just feels really reactionary to me. And again, so we're going to get rid of him and bring in who? You're going to bring in Potter now? That won't happen, first of all. Then people go, oh, Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe's not taking this job. And then if you bring in Arsene Wenger would want to change the way this team plays. And it takes time. So the way this should be decided should be based on performances in tournaments. And regardless of, we're fortunate with the luck of the draw, France were in that tournament, Spain were in that tournament, Germany were in that tournament, all these other countries are in those tournaments and they don't get to that stage. England have done it twice, so give the guy the credit for what he has achieved. He will be a victim of his own success, because people go, no, okay, well, that's England now, we win everything all the time. And what could easily happen is that we go into this tournament, get through the group, hopefully, and then we play a really strong side in round of 16 and fall short. This is sport. It happens. I think, if I'm honest, the overreaction, and I might be wrong here, but the reaction to, get this guy out, it's a mix for me of kind of snobbery and style of play. He can't shake off this sort of briefcase wanker idea around him. That was someone in the WhatsApp group that said that, and I thought that was spot on. There is this sort of snobbery about Gareth Southgate because he played for Villa and Middlesbrough and who else? Palace, right? He's not one of Arsenal's, or he's not one of Chelsea's, or whoever it might be. There is a snobbery around him. But if you listen to the words that come out of his mouth, they're always reasonable, fair, and he takes responsibility. Did that yesterday. And that is something that I really like about him. So that's one half of it. The second half of it, with people getting angry, is the style of play. And that's where it is valid. There's not enough. We're not cutting through teams like we should do. He's gone from a point of being defence first and foundation first and safe first, right? Maybe because he's concerned about Maguire and Stones as a two centre backs, and so you want to put Kyle Walker in for that safety. We've also got a load of fullbacks, so you're trying to fit all these guys in. And also, this is something that has worked. We have got far. So it then comes to the next question, which is it enough for us to go far in tournaments without playing really, really attractive, free-flowing football? And that's where I'm at a point where I'm like, I think with this generation of talent, it does need to improve. But at the same time, he has enough credit in the bank. So calling for his head now after a couple of games at the end of the season, when he's, flip-flopping on the squad, giving players game time, it just feels a little bit short-sighted to me, personally. Again, I'm going to keep coming back and forward on this because I'm reading Carlo Ancelotti's book, Calm Leadership. And what he has, which is really interesting, is this very clear understanding of the cycle of a manager. And this is why I do think it is the beginning of the end, because I think sometimes you can start to plateau and then we might need something different, right? We need someone who is that little bit more free-flowing and is going to go for it a little bit. I think there'll be other elements of their management character which won't be as strong as Gareth Southgate's. because it is a roller coaster ride being the England manager, because people just are after you all the time. And he does deal with that in his stride pretty well, but the quality does need to improve. And I do wonder, my gut suggests that that doesn't go well. And because the expectations are so high that it has to be a semi-final or it has to be a final. And what he's done in the past he gets no credit for it. People just sort of like go, well, yeah, of course you got to a final and you got to say, no, it doesn't work like that. Give the credit based on those tournaments, and that credit should last more than a couple of games, or last more than a year when we haven't even got to the next major tournament yet. He will be manager going into the World Cup, and this is the next thing, is that, and I won't say this again, is we will get in our own way by creating division and not getting behind the guy. Reflect on this tournament after the tournament, because he's not going anywhere. So in the meantime, get behind the guy. And also, we've got these, 2 draws against Italy and Germany, better teams. We've beaten a lot of teams over the last few years. We have to take into account the last 6 years and what he has done and how he's changed it and how we look at it now. And also look at the amount of teams and quality players that we had previously who failed with a Capello in charge or a Sven-Göran Eriksson in charge. 2 managers who are probably 2 of the most successful managers in European football over that period of time. Over that 10-year period. We went and got the best guys, and it wasn't enough. So give the guy a bit of credit and give him a bit of a rope to hang himself almost, possibly, but to at least give him so that we're in a position where we're either doing well. We're doing well because everyone got behind us and was like, and there was nothing kind of left behind where, it was up. They were up against it from the start because the fans hated it. Don't let success be out of spite, because that takes away the feeling for me. And it does matter. How it feels does matter. And so the style of play isn't good enough. Has to change. Must get more improved. But if we go into another tournament and he does well again, and we start to figure out how to play with the back 4, he understands what his best 11 is. It's a game against Hungary. Look at, say, Chelsea lose 4-0 to Brentford. Thomas Tuchel doesn't get the sack the next day because he's got credit in the bank. That's the same with Southgate. And turning your nose up and saying he's not good enough and his management team isn't good enough feels like it's due to shallower reasons than actually what he's done as the England manager, because he's done really, really well. He's earned the right to go to Qatar with our backing, not with us picking him apart. Look, I get the criticism and I get the understanding, and I understand that the cycle could be coming to an end. And it's one where, look, okay, we've played really badly here. We've struggled to get out of the group. It's maybe time for a change. That starts a new question of who do you bring in? Which is going to be difficult because English managers don't get opportunities. And so whoever gets the opportunity, in my eyes, because I feel like it should be an English manager, because a country as big as England shouldn't have to rely on foreign management. It shouldn't have to, because we should be looking to give English managers enough opportunity. And if in fact that doesn't happen, that's a reflection on the FA, on opportunities that English managers are getting, because we need to create opportunities for English managers. And I think international football, personally, should be aligned with that. A bit like if you're not English, you don't play for England. That's just generally how I feel about it. And I know people will come for me for that, but fine. Let's finally look at some of these tweets from you guys, because I think there's valid points here, right? I get it. So I said what I said. So Ollie, surely everyone realises this is a nothing tournament. I don't see how you can't at least back him for the World Cup. I mean, I think there's definitely something valid in that. And also the ability to sort of experiment a little bit in the Nations League, which we did a little bit whilst trying to retain the spine of the team a lot, is worth doing. And if you don't try those things, then we'll be moaning the other side. It can't always be all about winning. You have to try things. That said, the performances haven't been good enough. Perhaps I'd feel differently. Sorry, this is Gabriel. That one doesn't work. Jack Twiddale, honestly, it was diabolical. In no universe should we be losing 4-0 at home to this Hungary side with the players that we have. I want Southgate to succeed, but he's not filling me with confidence, and that's putting it lightly. I think that's a really good, calm take. We shouldn't be losing to Hungary. Get it. I totally get it. I totally get it. How many chances did they really have, though? I mean, that's then becomes a problem with us being able to dominate a football match, possibly. But I don't think... It's not the sword to die on. I think that's the wrong phrase, but you know what I mean. It's not losing to Hungary in a Nations League game. It's not the one, you know. And let's not get in our own way. This is what kills me. Average and Nkunku and Joya. But what's your opinion on the performances, though? Honestly, throughout this whole time as manager, can you think of any great performances? It's always very stale, possession, domination, and any team who can competently press us take advantage of that. Look, it is worrying. It is worrying. The performances haven't been great, and we're not cutting teams up like we used to. But I would say just hang in there until after the World Cup, because, again, he's earned the right. But look, the games in September need to be better. He needs to have a very clear plan of what he wants to do, and you need to see some sort of seeds of hope there. But I would also suggest that overall we should be okay once we get to a top tournament against those lesser sides. You would hope we have the ability to break them out and break them down and get through a group. And then these are two very different games, right? You have the games against the lesser sides. I mean, Hungary's one of them, and we've been poor in terms of dominating them and winning it. And then there's those games against Germany, Italy, where when we talk about great performances, you know, against Germany we did do well. You know, Spain back in the day, we beat them away from home. And again, let's look at these squads. Yes, we've got a really, really exciting squad that I hope has not hit its ceiling, and it shouldn't have hit its ceiling. And if it has, that's when you go, okay, I get you. Look, you've been there. Maybe they need a new message now. We need to go a different direction. But up until we go out of Qatar, he has my full backing personally. I just don't see the point in it. Expectations always have to be high. It's become a normality for us to drastically underperform against teams we should, on paper, steamroll. We should be setting a standard regardless if the game is important or not. I get that, but I think you're missing out. These are humans, not numbers. So they are knackered. And people going, oh, well, look at other teams. Like, I get other teams, but you've got a lot of lads here who've played 60-odd games, and you could see they're exhausted. You can see they're just half a second off all the time in seeing the pass from the opposition. Yeah. But I get it. The standards need to be raising all the time. But success isn't linear. So a blip is okay for me. But if it continues to trend in the wrong direction, then he has to go. I get it. George, bang on here, James. This is a terrible run of results, no doubt, but Southgate has done more in 6 years than England did in 50 years prior to him taking over. The group is still young, and if Qatar underwhelms, I'll hold my hands up and say he's taken them as far as he can. I think that's where I'm going to end it with this video, because that's where I'm at right now. I think it isn't a good run of results, no doubt. But let's not get in our own way here. This is my point. He will be the manager, and I think he deserves our loyalty. And the thing that I'm always looking at is the fact that we want to create an environment for players to thrive. That's what's cost us year after year after year after year. And I'm not saying this again, because I said this I had to say this in the Euros when everyone's after him then. Just get out of our own way, right? If you don't like the style of play, I understand it. If you don't think he's up to it, I understand it. But just get behind him until the World Cup's done. Then you have the fallout, and we'll look at it. But up until then, he's earned the right, in my opinion. So those are my thoughts on it. Probably all over the place. I apologise if they are. The biggest problem for Gareth Southgate between now and then is going to be our own fan base, which is unfortunately often the case. But for me, this is what I'll be doing. I will be backing him with an understanding that the results have been defensive and a bit disappointing. Get past the World Cup and we revisit it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm sure you will do. If you're new to the channel and you've enjoyed this one, hit the subscribe button. Lots of videos on the channel for you to enjoy, so go and check them out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.